Welcome to Chapter 6, Increasing Learning Through Student Involvement. Slide 2 illustrates the topics that we're going to be covering in this chapter. These topics include student involvement, a key to learning and motivation. This topic will involve the need for developing clear learning objectives, and we'll also discuss the role of content representations. The second topic is involving students through teacher questioning, and this topic involves assessing current understanding, increasing student motivation, and guiding new learning. Topic 3, elements of effective questioning. This topic deals with questioning frequency, equal distribution of questions among students in a classroom, open-ended questions, prompting, repetition for special emphasis, and something called wait time. Classroom questions and additional issues rounds out this chapter. This topic deals with low and high level questions, selecting students, call-outs, and choral responses. This chapter also has a section involving students with diverse backgrounds and using technology to increase student involvement. You can see page 176 for a summary of what will be included in this chapter. And on slide 3, I have listed each chapter topic on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, key points related to each topic, so that you can get a good overview of what this chapter will be about by looking at slides 3 and slides 4. On slide 5 is a let's go for a book walk slide, and I would suggest that when you have an opportunity, you just sort of skim through chapter 6 so that you see how that chapter is formatted and you see what topics will be covered in that chapter. On slide 6, those are the questions that are related to your philosophy paper. And second to the last question, what are your preferred instructional strategies, probably would be the question that would most closely be associated with this chapter. So the content from this chapter would help you, especially in the area of questioning, would provide important content information for you related to this question on instructional strategies. On slide 7, entitled Student Involvement, a Key to Learning and Motivation, students learn more and retain information longer when they are put in active roles than they do when they're passively receiving information from others. From your experience as a student, do you believe this statement is true? Why or why not? And as you can see, you have the reflective monkey there on that slide, and I'd like you just to think a little bit about that research question, that when students are actively involved in the lesson, in information, they tend to remember the information as opposed to just passively receiving it. And as a student here at Young Harris, or perhaps looking back at your high school years or middle school years, do you believe this statement is true? Why or why not? Slide 8, I'd like you to read the case study on pages 177 through 180. I think you'll enjoy this case study and learn how Jose Alvarez involved students in his lesson. After you read the case study, think about the techniques Mr. Alvarez used to involve his students. What were the roles of planning, objectives, lesson development, questioning, and feedback relative to his lesson content? So take a look at that case study, and that case study, the content from that case study will be used throughout this PowerPoint. So it's important that you have an understanding of how Mr. Alvarez conducted this science lesson. Slide 9, entitled Student Involvement, a Key to Learning and Motivation. We're going to be talking about two key ideas relative to student involvement. And the first one has to do with the need for clear learning objectives. Student involvement can be a key to learning and motivation. However, two elements must be in place. These include clear objectives and something that we call content representations. By clear objectives, we mean a real focus on what the lesson is to accomplish. Representations are ways teacher can represent the knowledge, skills, or concepts in a lesson. For example, Mr. Alvarez used an experiment in which students could see and experience the science principle he was illustrating. He also used a drawing so students could visualize the movement of molecules. So the next few slides will cover this idea of learning objectives and content representations. If we go to slide 10, student involvement, the needs for clear learning objectives. In Mr. Alvarez's scenario, we can see that he had three clear objectives. These included the following: heat makes substances expand. The second objective was heat makes molecules move faster. And the third objective is the concept of expand means molecules move apart. Now this slide lists the reasons why a teacher must be clear about the objectives. And it's helpful if students are aware of the objective. Is it helpful that the students are also aware of the objectives? Why or why not? As we previously mentioned, content can be represented in many ways. In this slide, can you provide examples of way in which content can be represented by examples, demonstration, charts, matrices, models, vignettes? See page 183 in your text for ideas. So when we talk about representing content, these are the 5 ways in which content can be represented. So as you're teaching and you're developing your lesson plan and preparing to teach, it's important to be thinking about how you're going to represent that content to students, and having a visual or involving them in a demonstration or in a case study or vignette helps them to be more actively involved, and they will have the opportunities to remember that information will be enhanced by using these representations. On slide 12, this slide illustrates how representations during student involvement can help students better understand the content. So if you take a look at the first one, up in the slide, the first representation is an example, and then the goal would be understanding the concept of arthropod, and then the example would be bringing in a real lobster. So you can look at the left-hand side and look at the type of representations and look at the goals and look at the examples there. Hopefully that will help you. Slide 13. This next section of Chapter 6 deals with involving students through teacher questioning. And on this slide, we can see the purposes of questioning. They are to assess current understanding. Number 2, to increase student motivation. And number 3, to guide new learning. And you can read more about these 3 functions and their descriptions on this slide. More specific information can be found on pages 184 through 186. So what I did on this slide, on the left-hand side, you can see the functionings or the functions of teacher questions, and on the right-hand side, you can see a description of those functions. 14 is opportunity to review. Those are just some questions that I've posed, and hopefully through the PowerPoint and through your reading of the text, you would be able to answer those questions. Slide 15 is also a review. That's an opportunity for you to match the left-hand side with the right-hand side. So take a few minutes to conduct that matching. Actually, the answers for this slide, which is slide 15, can be found on slide 16. So I would go ahead and try to do 15 on your own, and then go to slide 16 for the answers. Slide 17, entitled Involving Students Through Teacher Questioning, Functions of Questions. This slide illustrates the ideal sequence students will hopefully follow or go through when they respond to a question. Why might this sequence not occur? This is, again, the ideal, but there are many times when the sequence may not be followed. Do teachers always choose to ask questions? Do they always build questions into their lesson plan or lesson development? Do students always attend? Are they always listening? Could students misinterpret a question that the teacher asks? Could a wrong response be given? Do students always modify their responses if they give an incorrect answer? So this slide just sort of illustrates the sequence of an ideal situation, but as you're aware of, oftentimes the sequence may or may not be followed. On slide 18, they're entitled Elements of Effective Questioning, Essential Question Strategies. There are 6 essential strategies that effective teachers use in questioning. These strategies include, number 1, questioning frequency, which is the number of questions that are asked over a period of time in a lesson. Number 2, equitable distribution, which is the pattern in which students are called on equitably. In other words, all students have a chance to answer the question. Number 3, open-ended questions. These are questions in which a variety of questions or answers can be acceptable. Number 4, prompting. These are cues or clues teachers provide if students have difficulty answering a question, or if they give a wrong or inappropriate response, teacher can provide a prompt or a cue to help get the student back on track to answer the question correctly. Number 5 is repetition for emphasis. This is when a teacher asks students to reconsider a question that they might have had in the past or previous question, or a point that has been made earlier, and to use that question to help respond to a particular question. We're going to stop right here. So this will conclude Chapter 6, Part 1, and we will pick up with Chapter 6, Part 2 in just a minute.